Welcome to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Josey. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greenness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of Badassery herself, the real Josey. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Josey, creator of RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing a past project. We will let you decide if it was good or bad or just plain ugly. But before we begin, here's today's Badassery Bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is leveraging the power of no, how saying less can get you more. When it comes to negotiation, most people think they need to talk their way through a deal. The truth, the real power lies in knowing when to shut up. Mastering the strategic use of no paired with the art of a well-timed silence can tip negotiations in your favor and leave you walking away with more than expected. Here are 5 ways to become a badass negotiator. Number 1, silence makes people uncomfortable. Use it to your advantage. Most people hate awkward silences. When you pause after stating your offer or counter, the other party often feels compelled to fill that void, sometimes by conceding more than they planned. Instead of over-explaining, make your point and wait. The longer the silence, the more likely they'll make a move. Number 2, no sets boundaries and commands respect. A weak negotiator fears saying no because they think it might end the conversation. In reality, a firm and confident no signals strength and sets clear expectations. It forces the other party to reconsider their position, often leading them to present better terms rather than risk losing the deal. Number 3, less talk, fewer mistakes. The more you ramble, the more opportunities you give the other side to poke holes in your position. Saying less means you reveal less, keeping the upper hand and forcing them to work harder to understand your true bottom line. Number 4, create the illusion of scarcity. If you seem too eager or talk too much about why you want the deal, you lose leverage. A well-placed no or a simple, let me think about it, makes it seem like you have other options, whether you do or not. That perceived scarcity makes you more desirable to the other party. Number 5, let the other side negotiate against themselves. Once you've made your position clear, resist the urge to keep selling or justifying. Many times the other party will start adjusting their own offer just to keep the deal moving. The less you say, the more room they must work for you. So, in negotiation, your words should be weapons, not wasted. A well-timed no combined with the discipline of silence is a powerhouse strategy that turns the tables in your favor. Next time you're at the negotiating table, try saying less and watch how much more you get as you negotiate like a badass. Now, on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. Today, we are sitting down with Nichole Hart, a realtor and home health occupational therapist in the Dallas-Fort Worth market. Nicole's journey is nothing short of inspiring. After house hacking, landlording, and flipping homes over 100 miles away, while balancing single motherhood and a full-time job, she faced major financial setbacks, including foreclosure and maxed out credit. But she didn't let that stop her. A chance encounter led her to Airbnb Arbitrage, allowing her to rebuild, save, and ultimately become a licensed agent to fuel her return to investing. Today, she is sharing one of her past projects, so let's get started. Welcome to the show, Nichole Hart. Hello, friend. Welcome.
Hello.
Good to see you. It's still early, so thank goodness for editing because I've been tongue-tied
Yeah.
that whole intro, my goodness. But it's so good to see you. We first met through Tarek El Musa's homeschooled program, not homeschooling, but his flipping education program was called Homeschooled by Tarek, and that's how we first met. And I have known you for years, and I am super excited to have you on the show today. So give us a little background of how you got started in real estate.
Well, I actually bought my first home when I was 23, and the house was, I don't know, like $60,000 back then.
Was that in Orlando area?
It was in a city called Deltona, which
Okay.
is between Orlando and Daytona.
Yep.
So yeah, Central Florida, and lived in that through the crash, and ended up at one point renting that out and buying another property after I showed rental income on that one. So bought another property, same area. And so I had two at that time. And that kind of really got me thinking about the wealth building aspect of owning homes, because those were appreciating. And I ended up selling those, eventually moving to Texas, buying a home in Texas, and then started just wanting more out of besides my regular W-2 job, and came across Tarek's ad and just decided to join, and
And
then
here
that
you
began
are.
my flipping career.
Very nice. And we are, there's really three projects that we will be mentioning today, but we're focused on the middle one, but it's sandwiched by two that correlate with this one as well, which we're going to get into here in a second. But in your intro, I mentioned Airbnb arbitrage. So, just in case the listeners don't understand what that is, can you just give us a little snippet on what that's all about?
Yes, so arbitrage is when you are renting a place, a house, apartment, whatever, and then you re-rent it out. So we rented an apartment in Old East Dallas. We paid between the rent and utilities about 1,300 a month, and I was making about $2,100 a month in rent on Airbnb.
Nice.
So yeah, and then I didn't own it. I didn't have to fix anything in it. I just had to go in, decorate, and um, re-rent it out. So that comes with its positives and negatives, depending on who the property manager is. You're kind of dependent on them. So I definitely have stories on that, but yeah, it definitely helped me to build some wealth for sure.
Very nice. And those are great numbers there. The terminology is you're renting it and then subletting it as
Oh,
a short term rental.
yes.
And how did that conversation go to convince was it a company or was it just a landlord that you were renting it from?
So I actually didn't. It's a funny story. This was when I had lost everything essentially and was just finding my way. And I met someone in a bar.
That's my
and
girl.
and so he was trying to, I guess, talk to me or whatever. And I didn't really want to talk to him, but he mentioned in his spiel that he does this, that he rents out Airbnbs. So I'm like, okay. All right. Well, I don't really want to go to dinner. I don't want any of these things that you want to do. But if you want to have a conversation about the Airbnbs, I'd love to do that. So he was glad to further impress me and show me what he's doing. So, which I do really appreciate. I really appreciated that from him. And so, yeah, so he introduced me to some of his property managers. And I actually, to get started, because I didn't have any money then, because I had to buy the furniture, I had to put down the first month's rent. And he needed someone to do his taxes for him, not do his taxes, but add up all his numbers because he was an entrepreneur. And so I was like, hey, I can do that. And I learned a lot in Tart's class about what you can write off. And so I had all that information from that class, and I took that and I used it to kind of barter with him and put those numbers together for him. And he paid me, and we took that money and put it down on my first apartment that I opened. And then
Nice.
fast forward, I started managing his. He had about 15,
Hmm.
and I was his co-host. So we negotiated a rate that I would get from him, and that was really good. And so, yeah.
I like the negotiating techniques, as I mentioned in the Badassery bestowment, where you said, yeah, I don't want to go to dinner, but yeah, we can talk business.
Yes, I know. I
Love
felt
that.
bad, but it was just like, I'm being honest.
I think that's fantastic. And a lot of the listeners, and we're going to leave this here in a second, but a lot of listeners have a hard time approaching landlords and situations like that. But I have a dear friend locally here who she arbitrages, and the landlords love her because she goes and presents it as, I am going to keep your place in top condition because I need it to be wonderful to get good reviews. So it'll be cleaned professionally multiple times a month. So a lot of landlords hear that you are going to take excellent care of the property because it's in the best interest for the Airbnb reviews, basically. So just wanted to throw that nugget out there. It's a great way to gain wealth fairly quickly with very little out of pocket. And I can already tell by your story that you shared that my word for you is resilience. And with that in mind, we are going to jump into this project here. So you are presenting a past project, and give us a little description of the property. Is it in a war zone? Is it how many beds and baths, the square footage, things like that. So just give us a description of this property.
So this property was in, I would say, looking back, I thought it was more of like a B area,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't actually go and visit it. When I purchased it, I had my real estate agent do that, and he boasted about the area being so clean and
Well,
looking good.
is
And
this the one that's 100 miles away?
yes,
Okay,
yeah.
so that
I
makes a
was
difference.
kind of dependent on that, which
Gotcha.
I didn't really know him that well. So I that's definitely something I probably would do differently. Either know them very, very, very well or go and see it myself. And at this point, I probably would have to lay eyes on it myself until I'm more comfortable. But yes, so it was probably like a B minus, we'll say. But anyways, so the house was an older home. It was very solid. It was a 2-1.
Okay.
And oh man, I would say about 1,400 square feet.
Okay. That's large for a
And
two bedroom. Good.
right. And it was very odd. It was built in like 1920.
Ooh.
So it was very, very odd. It just had like even the one bedroom that it had was like split, and it almost looked like two bedrooms with like a half a wall. It was just strange, like a butler's cabinet type of thing. I don't even know what you would call it, but we went in and totally just reconfigured everything, and we even turned the attic into an additional,
Oh,
I think
wow.
maybe like 800 square feet.
Nice. Very
So
smart.
right. So we actually made it into a 3-3.
Wow.
So 2 bedrooms and 2 baths on the first floor, and then another bedroom and bath, and then a big like living space on the upstairs.
Very cool. That's very good use of space. I love that. So, how did you
Yeah.
find this property?
I found it on the MLS.
Okay.
Mhm.
And what was the asking price at time of purchase?
So the asking price was 127.
Okay. And is that good
And
for that area or?
I mean, it was the numbers, the way they worked out. I mean, it was. I'll say yes.
Good. And
Um,
I'm sorry. I'm so
no,
excited to get to this property. And then the ARV, which is the after repair value, what was that at the time of purchase?
that was 275.
Okay, good. And
Mhm.
then your realtor walked through it. Did you walk it at all before you purchased it?
No.
Okay. So how did you determine the estimated repairs?
So the estimated repairs, the contractor,
Okay.
my contractor. Yeah. So he went in and we we looked at it and basically determined the big ticket items. So we know we didn't need a roof. We did need AC, which it didn't have any central AC.
Okay.
So big ticket items like that, we just went ahead and figured that in. So it was an AC and then plumbing. We needed new plumbing, and then all of the cosmetics.
What about electrical? So you said it
I
was
was
built in
trying to think
1920?
about electrical because this one was so crazy, Jen. It's kind of, it really is a blur, honestly. A lot of it is kind of a blur. Electric was we ended up having to do something with electric that we
Okay.
didn't know that we needed to do.
But
And
quick question on that. So was it updated at any point? Because normally in 1920s, you had knob and tube wiring, which some people still have in their houses and it works fine. But was it ever
Mhm.
updated at any point?
Yes, but
Okay.
we had to figure in wiring for like the upstairs and everything.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So, right, which required like a larger like panel, a larger system to
Yep.
accommodate. So yeah, we came to the price basically on the big ticket items and just like the cosmetic rehab and everything. And honestly, the contractors I had, they had done the previous house for me. So, and we finished that one. We were able to sell that one, and the budget he gave me was really good, and we got it all done. So I had some trust in him that we would be able to do the same thing with this one. So it was a lot of video, a lot of video, and just him telling me just, I mean, with flooring, I mean, we knew that we had so many square feet, so we figured in flooring for that, and just fixtures and just a lot of things I knew the price of. So but not walking it initially, definitely we come to find out it did become a bit of a problem. So
So what was his estimated repair budget that he gave you?
that was 75,000.
Okay.
Right.
And how did you finance this deal?
With a hard money lender.
Okay. Did you use like a second position or was that your own money for the gap funding?
Yes. So on this one, I had a partner.
Oh, okay.
So, right. And she really wanted to do a deal. In hindsight, also, I feel like I was so new. I had just done the one deal. I really probably shouldn't have, but I went ahead anyway. And so we drew up a contract and we're still really good friends to this day. Thank God.
Good. Thank goodness.
Yes. But she had to come out of pocket. I had just, oh, yes. Okay. So about $12,000 is what we needed out of pocket at closing. Because the way my hard money lender worked is he did 90% of the ARV, 100% of the rehab. And if the 90% happened to just cover everything, then because I had another deal that the third deal that I did was like that. It actually, the ARV was so good that I didn't
Nice.
have to have anything except just like some closing costs. So this one was almost at that point too. So yeah, so 12,000 at closing, she covered that. And then she agreed to cover the hard money payments, which
Okay.
were 1,900.
Okay. And how did you know this person?
She's a friend. She's a friend from Florida. She's been our like family friend for like, I don't know, 10 or 15 years.
And did she live in the area where the flip was going on?
Where was she at the time? Because she's here now. I'm trying to think. She was in, I think she had moved to Texas. She moved to Texas and then moved back to Florida a year later. So I believe that she was in the area. Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
And does
In my area
she
in Dallas.
is she an investor as well, or just this was a new thing for her?
It was a new thing for her too.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
she had seen what I did with the first one, and she's someone like me, like she was wanting to just find ways to make extra money, and she actually went and enrolled in Tarek's course too.
Oh,
So right, so we were doing this one together, and
good.
yeah, so everything was under my name. I assumed all responsibility for just being on title and everything, and she would contribute the money. I found the deal, and then I managed everything. So
Okay.
she was really hands off.
The reason why I'm asking all these questions is because a lot of listeners out there, they are nervous about jumping into a deal by themselves if they don't feel like they know enough, and having a partnership, they feel like will help them along the way. But a lot of times it actually goes south rather quickly. So I'm glad you two are still friends.
Yeah.
And so thank goodness that you had that. All right. So what was the projected timeline versus the actual timeline?
Oh my gosh. It was, we'll say 3 to 4 months
Okay.
because we kind of came up with a second story idea at the tail end. So 4 months max was the timeline.
And then the actual timeline?
Oh my gosh. We started in July and we ended in, was that around February, March?
Okay. All right.
So
I mean, that isn't horrible for a $75,000 renovation. So don't, especially when surprises and things come up. So speaking of surprises, what happened? I know a little bit about this, but what were the surprises during the renovations?
Oh my gosh. I mean, so many. So, I mean, the first one that comes to mind is the plumbing. So, the contractor would send pictures. This is how we submitted our
Draws.
draws
Yep.
to the hard money lender, which I did do great on that. Thanks to Targ's course. They taught us very well.
Good.
And we did not pay until we got the proof, sent it to the hard money lender, and then we paid the contractors. So no one could run off with our money. So, but so
So
he sent
let me clarify this for the listeners, because when you work with a draw schedule, a lot of times you have to front the money out of, say, your own. We use a HELOC on occasion. You want to pay your contractors when they complete the work. Sometimes you have to buy materials beforehand, and then you submit it to the hard money lender, and then they send someone out to make sure that the work was done, and then they will give you that money towards the rehab. So was that going on, where was the hard money lender sending someone out to check the work?
no.
Okay.
So they agreed that they would take pictures.
Okay.
They would accept that. And like I said, it worked for the first house. We didn't have any problems. And I thought it was great because I didn't have to pay someone to come out and do that inspection. We could get our money faster
Good.
and keep it moving. So I was really happy about that. It's
I
something that
love this lender, by the way, because you got 90% of loan to value in the beginning. So if you get a property cheap enough and really hold on to that repair budget, keep that tight. I mean, you can flip properties with no money out of pocket. So I love that. A great lender, and with pictures only, that'd be
I
fabulous.
know, I know. And I called so many lenders. I must have called like 20, 30 different people until I found him. So, because that's what I needed. I needed a little out of pocket.
Yes,
Um,
good. I mean,
yeah.
that's very smart. And like I said, resilience is your word, Nicole, because you don't let these obstacles just hit you in the face. You work through them and you find opportunities through it. So, all right. So, the contractor, he's taking pictures, then submitting them. The draw money's coming in, and then moving on to the next portion of the rehab. So, what's going on with this contractor?
Right. So, yeah, so we sent that in and we thought the plumbing was all done. I think I paid, I don't know, $7,000 or something for it. And we keep having this issue, this smell come out up out of the tub. Like every time we walk in the house stinks. And we're
Oh,
just like, what is this coming from? And so we finally call in because our contractor's like, I don't know. He's just like not giving us any answers. And we're like, well, we can't sell this. Like, this isn't going to work. So we go and we find another plumber to come in and take a look. And so in doing that, he's like, it's coming from the tub. And by the way, all your plumbing is wrong. Like it's no good and it all needs to be redone. So that's one thing. I mean, that cost me an extra $7,000. So that's one item. I mean,
so
just
how did that happen? I mean, so he was taking pictures of a different project, or how did
no,
that work?
he was taking pictures of it, but I don't even know what exactly he did, but I think he tried to maybe do it himself and keep the money and not have a plumber come in,
A
a real
licensed
plumber,
plumber.
a licensed plumber, like a
Oh
real, yeah,
God.
and so it just, and you know what? I don't know. Like, I'm not a plumber,
Right.
so I can only go by what he's showing me. And so he's
Sure.
taking the pictures, and I'm assuming this is what it's supposed to look like. So I didn't know any better. And he's probably not taking pictures of everything. He's just, I mean, he fooled me and the lender. The lender accepted it. I accepted it.
Mm.
So I'm sure he's omitting pictures of different pipes and different things that should look differently. Because when this guy came in, he was like, yeah, this is all wrong.
So, question on the house, because you said 1920 it was built. Did it have plaster walls?
Plaster walls. Yeah.
Like the house I'm in was built in 1922, and we had to get rid of all the plaster walls because it didn't have central air here either. So it was easier to gut and get rid of like an entire dumpster of plaster. So it just makes it even harder if they're not removing all that plaster, if they're trying to fish it through the walls, etc. So, all right, keep going.
Yeah.
So, plumbing.
So Yeah, so that's one thing. I mean, just the timeline in itself, we would go, like, I would drive up there sometimes every week, sometimes every other week, and check the progress and everything. And I would get there and there would be nothing done, and the place would be a mess. And I'm just like, this is not. And going from, like, I remember you teaching us that it should be swept every day. And I'm just like, my contractors are so filthy. And I just, everything felt wrong. Like, I just knew it, but it was like too late to go and get new ones because our whole
Right.
budget was built around what they had told us. So it's like,
I get it.
yeah. So I felt kind of stuck. So the one good thing about him was that we kept in communication. I mean, we spoke almost every single day. Like, so that was great. It wasn't like he was just going MIA. And that also kept me thinking that he's trustworthy, just kind of keep going with it. It's going to work out. And, but I would go there and it's like he would say one thing and then I would get there and nothing would be done. And I'm just like, dude, like, what are you guys doing? And it was
Wow.
always some excuse. And then, so, I mean, that just the timeline alone was eating up the budget. And then just, so the finishes that, so, and I realized this, and he even admitted to me that finishing the finishes part, the very end where you make everything pretty and nice and neat, that was not his forte. So we had to bring in a whole nother guy because that was the part that I think stumped him to where they eventually just left and were
Wow.
gone and just totally left. And he had money owed to him and it was stressing him out so much that he just left. And so I had to go and find another, actually my parents found him for me, another contractor that came in and he was like, "Yep, we can do it. It's going to be $1,000 a day and we're going to go in and we're going to knock it out in like 4 or 5 days. Like
Oh,
they're
okay.
they just work all day long because at this point we had to get it sold. Like we were coming up on not being able to renew it again for another term with the lender. And so we're just like, whatever, I'll give you whatever you want. And so that plus holding it like in our contract with me and my partner, I had it in our contract that we would only go over the budget so much with her money. And then after that, it's going to be on me because I didn't want to
Right.
just wipe her out. So we definitely went up to that and over that. And so then I honestly, I don't even know how much I spent at that point. Like I said, a lot of it was a blur. So I apologize. It really, really was. I was literally just what is it, like fight or flight? Like I'm just going and just trying to,
Like, here, try this credit card tile company. Here,
yeah.
try this credit card lighting company. Yeah, I get it. So,
I did. Everything was on
yes.
credit. I was literally just living on credit and I had paid all my credit cards off. Like I was in such a great position and I just was like, do it, do it, do it, do it, and just paid it. So I paid them with cash for like my bill money for my expenses because he needed cash. And then I used the credit cards to pay bills. I
Right.
just swapped. And, but we got it done. And then we went to list it. And
All
then
right. So your original ARV was 275, and then you go to list it. What did you end up listing it for?
we listed it for 299.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it actually appraised really, really well. And I believe it appraised around 315, but
Okay.
it seemed a little much for that neighborhood. I was like, I don't want to put anything with a 3 in front of it on this
Yep.
neighborhood. So yeah,
That's
we went
very
for
smart.
219.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super, super smart. And how many days was it on market?
It was on market. I don't even remember. I think it was on market for like 3 or 3 months or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then big drum roll here. What did you end up selling it for?
Well, we didn't sell it. We took it off because we, like I said, we had got an extension with the hard money lender. So the whole time it's on market, it's counting down the days till that extension's over.
And at this
And
point, 3 months is probably right at the year mark, is how long you've
right,
owned it.
right.
Yes. Okay. And then,
Yeah.
and Nicole, what you're explaining is your lender, when you have a contract with them, this deal will be done within 12 to 18 months or whatever it is, or 8 to 12 months. And if you hit that 12 mark, you have to extend the loan and it usually costs what were they charging you?
They were charging me 1%
Okay,
to
1%.
extend it, right?
Okay.
Plus your monthly fees and everything, which that ended up going up. I
Yep.
think I started out like 11 and I went to like 12 or 13. So my
Wow.
monthly payment increased. Yeah. So,
All right. So how did you get rid of it?
so my partner found a private lender to come in and just purchase it
Okay.
to give us more time. It's a friend of hers and she had the money and she went ahead and she purchased it and then they had their own contract together. So I I stepped away and
So
I
is it more like a refinance just to pay off that loan that you have with the hard money lender and then they had it, or were they buying it to live in? What was the reason this private money lender purchased it?
So she purchased it as a favor to my friend. So she purchased it from the hard money lender. She just paid it off. I think I just was looking at the balance was like 218. So she paid that off and then she drew up a contract. The private money lender drew up a contract with my friend. So
Okay.
then my friend basically that house became her house.
Okay.
Well, it's the private money lender's house, but her whole goal was to pay her and then try to sell it or to refinance it because we were looking at everything. I was trying to refinance it, but I had screwed my credit so bad I wasn't able to refinance it. And then she wanted to refinance it, but she owned a home. So it was just like everywhere we turned, we weren't able to. So we got it in that private money lender's hands. And then her goal was to eventually refinance it or purchase it from her. So she was making payments to her. And then they actually she did end up, I guess, buying it back from the private money lender, you would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
And well, paying off that loan.
Well,
So,
paying off that loan. Right. Right. Exactly.
okay. So what were the issues? Why did it not sell?
Well, this was in 2023.
Okay.
So this was literally like right when the market just
And
almost came to like
interest
a
rates went
tipping
up.
point.
Yep. Okay.
Right. Because I mean, the house that I had sold just right before that sold for it had a contract for 275. And this one was twice the size. And we couldn't even get a contract for
Wow.
275 in this one. So yeah, the market just stopped.
Yeah. I mean, trust me, I am feeling that now, as I shared before we hit record on here. So I find it interesting because there are other people, Nicole, who are in this position right now where things are sitting, me included. And you, like I said, this resilience drive that you have, you find ways to fix it. And I just did a recording recently for YouTube. I'm working on these videos. Anyway, check out my YouTube, everyone. But in there it was a whole presentation on failing fast. And I think what you did is you jumped on the opportunity. It was literally only 3 months, unlike me, who has got a property that has not been able to sell many, many months. And I love that you jumped on that opportunity. So even though I'm assuming it just paid off what was owed, so did you make any money off this property?
No, no, I lost
Okay.
money on this one. I
Okay.
didn't, yeah.
So everything that you put in, but at least you got that the hard money lenders paid off and then you stopped the bleeding is what we call it. So
Yeah.
I mean that's huge. I am still bleeding out of every orifice on this project that we have. So this whole project, now that it is completed and finished and you have pulled yourself out of it, how would you do things differently after having done this project?
I would definitely have more in reserves for sure, a lot more in reserves just to be able to sustain it in times like this. I didn't have the money to sustain that one. And that was a crazy hard feeling. I would definitely vet my contractors better. And when I see like little tips of the red flags, like listen to that and hopefully like not let it get to that point. But so definitely vetting contractor better, just at this point, laying eyes on the property. I wouldn't do that at this point. I know people do that. I listen to a lot of podcasts where they do that.
I
And
don't. I couldn't do that. It freaks me out. I've got to walk
yeah,
the property.
I think after what I went through, I wouldn't be able to. So I would have to look at it and see the neighborhood and make sure that there's a lot of comps. That was another thing with this one. There wasn't a lot of comps in that neighborhood. So like the one that I did find, or the couple that I did find, I don't know if maybe there's a reason why there's not a lot of comps, but that was for another project. But just having a lot of good comps is always good. And I mean, you can't really help what the market does sometimes, but just being more in tune with the market shifts, and which I love about like being in real estate now as an on the agent side, is we get monthly reports about what the market's doing from month to month, from year to year, all aspects. So yeah.
So, Nicole, in a situation like this, many people would run in the opposite direction. But
Mhm.
you took this obstacle and you turned it into an opportunity. And you are a single mom, you have two beautiful boys, and you have you have no other direction to go but to succeed. And so I say this all the time with students, that real estate is great because you learn to pivot. And there are so many other opportunities in the real estate industry. You found Airbnb arbitrage, a way to make some quick money. So, how have you then evolved in your real estate career?
Well, I I mean, I'm a real estate agent now. So that's something that I really wanted to have, that license, back when I was flipping, because in Texas, we can't see what houses are sold for. You only see what they're listed for. So I always felt like I had to rely on someone else to give me that information. And I know people do that and they rely on agents and they do very well with that. I wanted to see the numbers though. And I've evolved now an agent, and my goal really is to build wealth through being an agent, and take that, well, I wouldn't say build wealth, but have extra income, like a different stream of income, because I'm a therapist and I get income from that. And I'm also have the income stream of being a real estate agent. So my whole goal now, and what I've done over the last like year and a half, 2 years, is I've decreased my bills significantly and I'm increasing my income. So
Nice.
whereas before, what I've noticed, and this did lead me to a large epiphany, is I was overspending in life in general. And this really taught me that even if I would have made that money on these houses flipping, I don't know if I would have been a good steward of that money in the mindset that I had then. So I do feel like it's a blessing that it happened, because it led me to really get a hold of myself and get a hold of my spending and making more. So right now I'm trying to make more through real estate in order to buy more real estate, because I really do believe in holding, owning real estate as a means to really gain true wealth. So that's
Absolutely.
my goal now.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that story and, like I said, resilience. And I love that you then turned it around to say, whoa, this is how I was spending. Because we had a couple years there where you would put a piece of garbage on the market and it would sell over asking in
Yeah.
24 hours. And those were the days. And I, as very similar, was freely spending those profits a lot more than I should have, and going back to holding on to some of that. And as you said in your message, to have more reserves. And I
Mhm.
too am also learning that as well. And so grateful for you for sharing that story. It wasn't a happy story, the actual property, but you made it work. It didn't scare you off. You are still driven, and that's what I just really truly adore about you. And you have your boys are very lucky to have you and everything that you do for them. So we are going to move to the second part of the podcast here, which is what makes you a badass. And I use the acronym BADASS, and the first letter is B for book. What is a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
So I thought about this one, and the first one that comes to mind is The Power of Now.
Ah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Is that a
Eckhart
Keller?
Tolle.
Thank you. Yes. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
Very good. And what about that book?
So that book, I read that a long time ago, and it's really changed the way I think about life. And I'm not always perfect, but something that my mom has also instilled in me a lot is not to get so caught up in the things that we can't control, which is the future a lot of times. And then also the past. So what the book really teaches you is to not get so down on yourself about the past, which I could have in this. And I have a lot of things in my past that I wish I could redo, but you don't get to.
Nope.
So you're wasting your now energy on things that you literally can do nothing about. And then the same thing for the future. You could get upset and get stressed out about things that might happen, but a lot of times you get stressed out and they end up working out fine, but you screwed yourself because you wasted all your now time worrying about it. So I really, really try hard to just come from that mindset and not get too stressed out either way, past or future. And like I said, I'm not perfect. I've kind of resolved a lot of my past stuff mostly, but I do get some stressed out about the future because I'm in my 40s and I'm thinking about retirement and I'm just like I want so many things. And so yeah, but I'm really trying to just stay in the moment and just keep going where I'm being led. And I feel like the more I do that, the more opportunities seem to show up for me. So,
Absolutely. What a great lesson to share. Thank you for that. And I have that book. I read it, goodness, ages ago. I'm going to have to dust that one off. What a good one. All right. The first A in Badass is for advice. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
oh, the best piece of advice that I've received. I mean, I guess it's kind of redundant, but I mean, like real estate or just whatever.
Just in general.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I was saying about not worrying about things that you can't control,
Yep.
it brings you so much peace. And I come back to it all the time. And my mom uses it on me when I get upset about things, and I'm just like, be quiet. But it's so true.
Yes, it
So
is.
I mean, just my mindset is literally if I don't have that right, then nothing works. So I pay a lot of attention to it.
Huge. All
Mhm.
right. The D in Badass is for drive. What drives you to be successful?
Oh my God, it's so cliche, but I mean, besides wanting like freedom and wanting to do what I want to do, honestly, it's my kids and it's just, I just want to be like a good example for them. I really want them to be successful. I don't want them to be in the rat race like I've been in my whole life, just struggling all the time. And even if you're not struggling, you're just paycheck to paycheck. And I really want them to be different and to think differently. Like you don't have to be this quote unquote, like this normal job, or you be whatever you want to be. And just don't put yourself in a box. And I really want to succeed because I want them to see me like do the things that I say I'm going to do. Cause you could tell kids all day long,
Yep.
do this, do that. But if they don't see you doing it, then they're going to, I feel like, I mean, for me anyway, you're going to feel like you can't do it. Like it's not possible. So I wanted them to see me that it's possible so they will know it. And then they'll be like, oh yeah, I can do that too then. So, I
Huge.
mean, it really is. I know people always say they're kids, but
And but actions speak louder than words, and that's so important. And as I said, you are such a great role model for them. So, all right, the second A in Badass is for aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So, what is a goal you are currently working on?
so right now my goal is in the real estate space, I have discovered through doing home health therapy that I'm meeting a lot of people that I would like to help and move them. All right, one more time, Jen. I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
You are in a unique situation where you, as an investor, you're walking into properties and looking like, what can I do to renovate this house and this, and this? But you are going in there as a home health therapist and able to see these things, and you have the extra layer of being able to help people and see. How about that?
Okay.
Did that? Okay.
Okay.
All right. The second A in Badass is for aspirations. So I'm a big goal setter. What is a goal you are currently working on?
So, as a home health therapist, I'm going into people's homes and I'm seeing them in their own environment. And so I have this kind of unique combination right now in my life that I've kind of stumbled upon with being a realtor and being a home health therapist. And what I'm discovering is I'm seeing people that are in their home, sometimes alone, sometimes not in the best of health. They're not taking care of themselves. They're not taking care of their homes. And I'm slowly realizing that this is, I feel like, another place that I've been led. And my goal really is to try to reach out and help as many people possible. And there's a lot of other settings besides going from home to nursing home. There's independent living, there's assisted living, and there's a place for everyone at any given point in their life. So right now, my goal, if I see someone in need, is to speak up and try to not change, but to open someone's mind to other possibilities and potentially add years to their life, give them a better quality for the years that they have left. And so I have a client right now that, she is the exact person I'm talking about. And we went to a brunch over the weekend, and now it's opened her eyes. She wasn't really taking care of herself in her home in the way she would want because she's not able to. And she saw the light, and she wants more time freedom. She wants more help with meals, with transportation, all these things. And she sees a better quality of life. And that makes me so happy that I could be the one to potentially change the next 20 years of her life. So my goal right now as a real estate agent is to really find these people and help these people and their families, because her family is very grateful for someone to come in and do this.
You're an
So
advocate. You're an advocate for them.
yeah,
And I
and it
love that. And you wear both hats. So you
mhm,
you have that investor hat where you can go and walk a property and see what needs to be done. And yet you are also the home health therapist here. And then you can also communicate and have that conversation and
yes.
advocate for the person. I didn't think I could like you anymore, Nicole. I think that is just and you look at it as I'm being guided here to make a difference in people's lives. And
Yep.
I've said it before, real estate, it just opens doors for different opportunities, and you can pivot and you can still use it and still make money in it. So thank you for sharing that, Nicole. I think that is fabulous. All right. The first S in badass is for systems. What systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
So my systems right now, because I'm not actively investing, I'm a realtor, would be my CRM. So I mean that houses any and everybody that I know, new contacts, old contacts, and it's just a way to keep track of everybody, to have all their informations. I put notes on everyone when I meet them and everything about them, so I can go back and reflect and just keep it all organized and just reach out and touch my people. That
Well,
sounds
that's
crazy.
fun. Ooh, can I get in that CRM? No,
Ooh, yeah.
that is so funny.
But
All
yeah,
right.
I mean, it's really important. Any realtor will tell you that's our Bible. So
Yeah, I don't keep a CRM. People are like, "What?" But for me, if I'm sending out mailers or something to a property, and if somebody calls me from a mail, now the mailers I keep track of, but who I send them to. But if they call me and say, "Hey, I want you to buy my house," I either buy it or I don't. And so why do I keep that name? So that's just me. And people, it blows their mind, like, Jen, I can't believe you didn't keep a CRM. But anyway, all right, I could keep talking about this for hours. So the final S in badass is for success. What does success mean to Nichole Hart?
success to me, I didn't even think about this one when I looked at
The
your
questionnaire.
layout there. Success to me would be I mean, honestly, financial freedom comes to mind, but also it would be to not just be financially free, but live a quality life. So I don't want to just be
So, lifestyle freedom in addition to financial freedom.
lifestyle freedom, being able to take care of myself. I have a big a fear of being having to be cared for by others when I'm older and being a burden to people. So I really want to be in a position where I can take care of myself no matter what condition I'm in. I mean, being in a nursing home setting, I see people that are completely dependent on everything from
Mm.
feeding to toileting, everything. And I've seen families and the burnout that they go through. So that's been a big driver. Success for me will be that, but it's also just the years that I'm here to have just quality relationships with people. And I'm working on that because sometimes I do get very caught up in what I'm doing, my routine, my work, that I don't have those quality relationships like I should. So it would be that. I want to like travel the world, honestly. And I want my kids to. I want them to be well traveled. And so I guess just living my life and not having any regrets. I guess that would be a success also. It's just not I want to look back and not have any regrets of things that I didn't do. Even if I might fail. That's why I'll do things, even if I might fail, because I'm like, I'd rather look back and say I tried and failed than look back and be like, oh, well, what if I would have tried? So, yeah.
Well, I am so very impressed with you, Nicole. I love your resilience. I love that you don't let anything stop you and you keep moving forward and you look at it as an opportunity of what's going to be happening next. So, Nicole, I appreciate you being on the show today. This was fabulous. If there's any listeners out there in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and needs a realtor, how can they find you?
So I'm on Facebook mainly.
Okay.
And I'm on Instagram, Nichole Hart, RE. And yeah, that's about it. Mainly on Facebook. I need to branch out. I have aspirations to increase my video platform on YouTube eventually. But
It's a rabbit hole. I'm knee deep in it right now myself. So
yeah, it's but yeah, Facebook, Nichole Hart. What was it? Nicole.Hart one, I think. There's a bunch of Nichole Harts. It's Nicole with an H, Nichole.
and Hart.
Hart.
Perfect.
One.
Well,
Mhm.
Nicole, thank you so much for being here today. It was great to see you, and thank you for sharing that past project. It's a huge lesson for all the listeners as well, and so it really means a lot. So thank you for being here today.
Oh, thank you for having me, Jen.
Absolutely. So good to
Always
see
wanted to
you.
be on your show.
Well, I'm glad you did. Well, that is all. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Now, go out there and share your badassery, and don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josey by visiting therealjenjosey.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.